Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Spencer TCG here. I know it's been a minute since my last video, but my summer schedules are much freer, so we are going to be making some more content. And yeah, we're going to start with a Planetary Qualifier winner list by me. I won it 2 weeks ago with Green Han Solo 1, and if you know me and you've seen my channel videos before, you know that I've made Han Solo content in the past. That's because this is my main dude, and I'm glad that, you know, he's finally considered tier 1, even though in my heart of hearts I've always thought him to be in the best, like, top 3 decks since the inception of the game. But, you know, now he has a new list, he's more aggressive than he used to be, and I'm just going to go over my video. So when I do this, instead of going over my list card by card, I'm actually just gonna, show you the list for a second here while I talk, and then I'm gonna go into my matchups, come back to the list, and tell you about the cards that I like, cards that don't feel so good, and then at the end I'll give you my general thoughts on the list. So if you guys are literally just here to see my list, bam, screenshot, boom, you're done. But if you guys want to see my matchups, let's move on. So my first matchup was against Luke Colossus, and I went 2-0 against Luke Colossus. So Luke Colossus is a cool deck, but that deck relies on having spaceships that attack you. So in your opener, you definitely want to open some sort of spaceship. Obviously, if you start with the Falcon, the 3-4 that, comes in ready, you can kill their turn 1 play, and they're almost always playing a turn 1 spaceship because they want to get their leader effect online as fast as possible. So in your opening hand, you definitely want one of the 2 Falcons. The yellow one's a little bit better, or you can even do a Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, even though that will probably trade. Some of them are still playing the red A-Wing. That's a 1-3. So if you get the initiative and you play this out, and their only turn 1 play is the A-Wing, that is actually just like a GG no re right there. The idea in the matchup is just to keep them out of space. You want to kill their space units because once they attach their leader, it can be a little difficult to remove. You do have like the Han Solo first strike play that you can do like later to get rid of their leader, but I recommend just clearing space because your space units have such good stats. They'll probably live and be able to trade into a couple things. You'll eventually keep some guys around while clearing space, and then you just start going face. Your ground units should probably never trade with their ground units. If they do play any, you should just send them to the face, unless, obviously there's like some really important trade you need to take. But in general, ground is just getting them. Hot shotting is pretty good in this matchup, even like on your like shielded guy, because if you're continuously trading in space and you just have like 4 damage on the ground every turn, eventually they're gonna explode. Some bad cards in the matchup are Hauler. The deck has access to removal, and you don't really want them to steal your spaceship, because what if they steal it and then attach their leader to it? It can be kind of annoying. Remember, we can't confiscate their leader because Luke is immune to that. So the deck's annoying in that regard. Yeah, so don't play Hauler, and definitely side out Hauler. I'd also side out Confiscate in this matchup too. It's not the greatest card. And yeah, Tantive feels pretty good in this matchup. It's one of the 7-drop, extra slots. I think you could try any really 7s. I went with Tantive here just because I know that space decks are on the rise. With Vader, it also feels pretty okay in the mirror match just because it protects all your other guys. But anyway, let's focus on the Luke matchup. So keep them out of space and you'll be fine. Some of the sideboard options that you have are Traitorous and Home 1. Obviously, Traitorous is just good because you can steal their piloted, small units. And Home 1, when I brought in 1 in both matchups. I played in a box tournament later. But yeah, I brought in 1 for game 2. I considered the second one. If I lost, I would have brought in the second one. But I just put in 1. I wasn't exactly sure how much late game I wanted to play, but I definitely think you could take this deck to late game. So if you wanted to play 2 Home 1s and bring them in, you definitely could do that. I also probably want salvages because, again, you just really want space units so the salvages can come in. In terms of taking things out, I would say like Kira isn't like the greatest card. Confiscate isn't the greatest card. Blue Leader is like okay. You could probably take 1 out if you just want to have 1 in, just have 1 in your deck. The problem with Blue Leader, even though it has ambush, is that, in the later parts of the game, their spaceships have more than 3 health, so they're a little annoying to kill. You can also take out 1 tech if you want to as well. I don't think you're, again, going super late against this deck. Also Falcon, the 6-drop Falcon is pretty good in the matchup when you play it from hand. So you can consider not smuggling this card in the early game and just ambushing it from their hand. All right, let's go to the next deck. So we have Sabine ECL. I beat this deck 2-1. And Sabine ECL is actually one of the deck's best matchups because we're able to race it. I did lose a game. I lost game 1 against this guy. I didn't open any 2-drops. So I didn't have a turn 1 play, and then I barely lost the race. So I still almost won the race. I was off by 1 life, but we still won the race. This matchup is where Holler is actually like, the GOAT. I've considered not even maining Holler, but just siding Holler in for Sabine. But because so many people like Sabine, I think you just main the Holler and then side him out. This is one of the main side out cards of the whole deck. But yeah, Holler is the GOAT here. It's a 4/5. They can't Masterpiece into it. In the sideboard, we can, start attaching R2 to it, Chewie, Han Solo. But yeah, in this matchup, you just pretty much want to ignore their board unless the trade seems really necessary. Make a big spaceship and race them. I think I beat this guy on 5 resources both games, and on one of them was like my 3rd swing. Holler just swung 3 times for lethal. It's kind of crazy. It was like Holler with a Chewie, Holler with a Chewie, Surprise Strike with a Holler, and I think he Sabine pinged once or twice. So yeah, that was it. You start with 5 more life against them, so you definitely just want to race. Keeping in Confiscate in game 2 is, depending on what type of Sabine they're playing. Are they playing a little bit more pilot version? Do you see the Darksaber? Are you scared of the Darksaber? Because again, Darksaber is slow if the game is ending on 5 resources. Some other matchup hints is that Resupply used to come out, but now it's actually pretty good still in the deck because what you do is on 4 resources, you lay 1 down. So now you're up to 5. You played Resupply, so now you have 2 left. You deploy your leader, swing, and now you have 3 resources. And you're able to play something that costs 3. So you're able to play a Chewie, a Surprise Strike, a Han Pilot, a Millennium Falcon. So actually use Resupply as a way to pretty much do 4 damage because you're deploying your leader a turn early. Back in the day when I played this matchup, Resupply was just a little too slow. If you played it on curve, they would just overwhelm you with bodies. But now that we're racing, we're actually just using Resupply to summon our leader, deal 4 damage, get a resource, and play another card in that turn. So Resupply actually does stay in the deck. I would not side it out personally. Waylays, this card is okay. I think that if you see them playing Wing Leader, then you definitely want Waylay because if you start with your 3/4 ship, they play something and they Wing Leader it and then you Waylay it, you're definitely going to win the race that game because, they wasted their entire turn. They never really hit you for anything. And if you played Yellow Falcon, you've already smacked them for 6. So now they have 19, damage left on their base. And you've taken 1 or 2, depending on how many times they ping. So you're super ahead of the race. But if they're not really playing the Wing Leader version, you have open deck list. I don't want to say Waylay is really the best card. You're definitely winning the race with other cards. Kira, again, are things that can come out. Cards that you want in are probably the R2-D2s, and you can bring in the traders if you want to, especially if they are playing the Wing Leader. You can just, have initiative, take their card, hit them with the big thing, and again, probably going to win that race because you just swung that creature in your favor. All right, next up, I played against Anakin Skywalker with Colossus. I'm pretty sure it was Colossus. I don't think he was playing Anakin 30. I could be wrong, though. Also, I went 2-1 against that deck. Anakin is actually pretty scary for me. I'm not sure if it's a bad matchup necessarily, but every time I play against Anakin, it feels just really tight, really scary. Some general advice is that remember that the deck can play Force Throw and Pillage, so you don't want to just be caught with 1 card in your hand, especially when it costs 7. You also probably don't want a Han ability into getting pillaged. That feels really bad. So there's some things you have to play around. Though it is okay to, not Han ability until you get to 6 resources. You'll deploy at the same time as them, except, when you deploy, you'll go to 7 that turn. So you'll still be at 7, 1 faster. Like you can play Han and just summon him if you don't think they, can kill it. Or you can finally use the card from your hand to go to 7 no matter what. And as long as you don't have 2 cards left in hand, the pillage won't get you. So just keep in mind, there's a lot of things you have to play around in this matchup, but I do think we are slightly favored. I think, and the big favoring comes in is like when we draw Resupply. When we play Resupply on curve, we're just a little too fast for the deck. we just deploy our leader like, 2 turns probably before their leader, and it becomes really annoying. Even if they like tap our leader on deploy, as long as they don't kill it that same turn, which they usually don't, you have the ability to just attack next turn with the Han. Even though it's a little smaller, you'll get the resource. Maybe they'll kill it then, that's fine. You'll play your 7 resource play and you'll be happy. Some cards that you definitely want in are Traitorous. And Traitorous is the GOAT at taking Village Protectors in the late game. I don't know how many times you guys have played against blue decks, but they always throw down like a Village Protectors on like 6 to 9 resources, somewhere in there. And it just protects everything on their board, and it's super annoying, especially if they like have a Luke already. And after they play that card, let's say they play on 8 resources, now they have 5 left, and you Traitorous it, and they have a Luke. Now their Luke needs to swing in to the Village Protectors and, has a shield. So it's just super frustrating for them, because it's a frustrating card for me. So I know when I take it, I'm just, thriving. Obviously, they could confiscate it, but, if they still have it on that exact turn with their hand, is actually kind of unlikely in my experience. So Traders feels super good to bring in. Also, you probably want the salvages in Home 1 package, because the games tend to go late, and Home 1 is a great way to close the game. It has just enough stats to live against Luke, and it's just Omega value, especially the later and later game you go. You can start bringing back things like Chewbacca and Ambush Han from your grave. Yes, they cost a lot of resources, but the games tend to go a little bit later. Don't be afraid to attack them. I know their Anakin comes out bigger. Just ignore that number. It's okay to deal damage to them. But do keep in mind, like, if you want it to be 1 damage lower, maybe just don't swing for the 2 damage on your tech or whatever. But yeah, so that's that matchup. Blue leader coming in on the ground here feels pretty good. Just keep in mind. And anytime you can smuggle value against Anakin, it makes their pillages a lot worse. They'll probably end up resourcing them, especially when you end your turn with 4 cards in hand. They're just going to be like pillages, not doing anything here. All right, my next matchup was against Kira Data Vault, which is supposed to be the deck's probably hardest matchup. I went 2-1 against this Kira. I do see why Kira's hard. I think if she takes you to late game, sometimes it can be hard to close out the game. The goal with Kira overall is to go wide. You just want to be as wide as possible and not lose to Overwhelming Barrage. I think those are like your 2 goals at the same time. Be really wide, don't get OB'd. Chewbacca is, the GOAT in this matchup. They do have no glory, only results, which can, unfortunately get around your Chewbacca play, but it's still really, really strong in the early game. In this matchup, because cards matter and because you're probably going to late game, you don't really want to resource on turn 1. You want to draw one of your 2 drops and probably the A-Wing. Personally, I like the 3-2 in space. They have one answer for it, and it's their 2-3. And if you have the initiative, you can definitely pilot or, just swing and make them trade. The only time I would pilot early too is if it's Chewbacca. Yes, they play no glory, but if you Chewbacca on that turn, you hit them for 6, and then maybe they go resupply. They have to start their next turn with no glory. And then, whatever, it happens. Like, they have to draw it and play it. Remember, they're Data Vault, so, they have to hope they draw the ramp and then hope they draw the no glory. And I'd rather get no glory than OB. But this deck actually probably takes a few reps to play into. So if you guys have been playing Han Green for a while and are just struggling, it definitely just takes reps and for you to think about, what does the deck need to be? Because I do think it's pretty close, but I also think if you're experienced in the matchup as the Han Green and the Kira just thinks the matchup is easy, then I think you're going to have a really good time. They're not going to be used to your play style of going really wide. They're not going to understand how you can just finish them off. They'll notice that their cards just don't always line up. Like, oh man, my Overwhelming Barrage is 1 damage off, and now he's getting another hit in. Oh, if I Super Laser Blast, he can just U-wing and summon 2 or 3 more guys, and they're just gonna die, right? Off U-wings here, you definitely want to find Chewbacca and a 2-drop. I think is your best hits. Tantive also actually feels pretty decent in this matchup again because you're making 2 bodies. So even if they kill it, you still have the 2-2. Also, if they have Power of the Dark Side, you get to kill your 2-2 instead of the 5-7. So this matchup, again, is close, but I think the more skilled player would probably usually win the matchup. So just keep that in mind. It is one of the deck's harder matchups, but again, I still think it's probably like a 50-50. I really think Han is positioned well. Next up, we played against another Kira. This time, we were able to 2-0 the Kira. And, again, don't have much to add. This person's list was a little bit different than the last person. I don't think he was used to the go wide strategy of Han, and it was a little bit easier than my last match because I did barely win the one before. It was a very, very close game. It was against my friend actually in round 4, and he was pretty experienced into the matchup. Just maybe because I've been playing the deck a lot. But my round 5 player did win a PQ with this Kira, so he is, a good player, quote unquote, because he won a PQ, right? So same deck, same list, I'm pretty sure. So but yeah, he wasn't used to the go wide strategy, and we actually had a pretty clean 2-0 in that matchup. All right, next up, we did the bad thing of drawing in my next 2 rounds, but I actually still played against both these players. So we played against the Sabine again. We've kind of already talked about our Sabine matchup. You just want to erase them. It was a clean 2-0 there. And then we played against Cadbane Tarkentown. I won the first, I think he won the second. We didn't side, and we didn't play a third game. He didn't want to play a third one, so I just wrote draw there. I mean, we did draw, but we never played a third game, and I didn't meet him in top 8 either, so we'll never know the end result. But against Cadbane Tarkentown, it's actually, I think, one of our better matchups. I know some people might think it's not, but it is. If they give you the initiative, just pass. Let them play the first card. And if they pass forever, you can do that, right? Because I think you're a little bit stronger deck in the late game. You're way better than going wide. Yes, they have the 7-drop CAD, but you have Waylay, you have L337, which takes back, captured units. So you actually have a lot of counterplay to their deck in general. Your units have really good stats. So yeah, I think a good player probably won't pass against you, and they'll just play their card. And then you'll just play their card and you'll play the game. They're going to end up having to waste their Tarkentown, probably to trade evenly against you, which feels pretty good. Don't be afraid to continuously get them out of Tarkentown range. Like if you play a Falcon and then they ping it and then you pilot with Chewie, that's actually pretty annoying for them because now they have to somehow deal a lot more damage to it. And you're able to target that card. Let's say they never play a space unit for whatever reason. You're able to target your Chewie Falcon combo 2 more times from their Cad Bane, and they still will stay out of Tarkentown range, which keeps all of your other cards out of Tarkentown range, and you're able to actually maybe even avoid Tarkentown altogether. I played a box tournament last week where I won, and I played against Cad Bane there, and it was very much like that. I won one of the games. He never even used the Tarkentown just because I stayed out of range the whole game. So you could definitely do things like that. Yeah, but you definitely want to take advantage of your value cards. Home one, again, feels super good in this matchup. It just brings back a big thing. The later the game goes, like I said, I think we're favored because we just home one and bring back big stuff, and we can go wide. But yeah, the deck can be scary if you've never played against Cad Bane and you don't really understand what they're doing. You don't understand their breakpoints. But I think after playing the matchup quite a lot, it's really not that bad for Han. I think we're just favored. Also, I think Kira can sometimes just be the GOAT in this matchup. I think you can play Kira on curve and sometimes hit their only 4-drop play because the deck keeps big things and little things in their hand pretty much at all times. They might only have No Good to Me Dead in their hand, and they might only have Cad Bane and then the 1-4-drop. Or they have a McClunky, which doesn't pick off the Kira, and then the 1-4-drop. So Kira with the initiative on curve can actually take away their entire turn 4 play and sometimes just straight up win you the game, which is kind of crazy. This is another matchup where Hauler's pretty bad. They have Tarkentown. Unless you I would side them out. But if you're going first and you just see this line where you can just Hauler and pray that they don't have the removal because you're going to upgrade it and maybe kill them really fast, you can go for that. But it's not something I would ever really look for. Remember, the deck probably can play and does play Waylay, so anytime you do try to do a Hauler, make it big, obviously not with Chewie, but with Han or something, they can Waylay that, and that can be frustrating. So the deck has a lot of tools against you. I just think they're a little reactive, and the proactive deck tends to win in this game anyway. So yeah, we did end up drawing, but we went 1-1. All right, so we got top 8. Obviously, we were undefeated at this point. And then you can see the 3 leaders I played against. So we played against Han Green, Han 2 Green, Han 1 Green, and then Sabine in the finals. And yeah, I only dropped 1 game in top 8, and it was to the Han Solo Data Vault deck. Super cool list. I was not expecting it at all. Has the Crate Dragon in there, just has some really cool tools. I was maybe figuring out the match in one of the games that I lost, but eventually I got it, and Game one I think was pretty clean, and then in the other game I won, it was a little closer, but I think I just edged the deck out. If I was trying to think of any advice for that deck, just keep as many things on board as possible. Know that Crate Dragon isn't killing your space units, right? It's ground or face, so you can finish in space. And you just want to go face against the deck. You just want to be able to kill them before they can play all their crazy big cards. I think their deck, has a little bit better of a top end than yours, but I think you're better at like playing into your top end. But yeah, so I'm not sure if you guys will ever see, play against that deck, but just keep that in mind. And then we play the mirror. The mirror is extremely annoying. If you get the initiative, obviously you just want to use your hero ability first, and then see if they use theirs. If they use their hero ability, then you're going to play one of two Falcons, either one, doesn't really matter. And then you're going to see what they do. Okay, and then on your turn 2, you're going to top deck Han Solo, and you're going to first strike their spaceship and instantly win the game. That's not actually true because they could play Waylay. I feel like this matchup is like super draw dependent. It's a little frustrating, but the more experienced Han player probably will take the majority of the games. And like I said, I've been playing Han since set 1, so I had a lot of reps, and I was able to 2-0 this matchup. Yeah, and it took some really weird lines against this man. Like I feel like I was playing super weird and just kind of going crazy, doing things a little out of whack, just trying to get the most value out of each of my cards. Hauler is another card that I probably would not keep in this matchup, and you would probably want to bring in the home ones, the Traitorous. You can bring in Confiscate. It's okay. Like I said, we play Waylay. I mean, you can confiscate the Chewie. So, it's like I said, it's just like, do you have the card that lines up? Like, did they ambush with Han Solo? Okay, my Waylay is really good. Did they play Chewbacca? Okay, my Waylay is really bad. Like, what's going on in this matchup? I think Blue Leader gets a lot of value. I think if you're able to deploy your leader first and swing with your leader before, they've deployed their leader, then, and you're at 7 resources before they are, the Han Solo 6 is going to be really crazy. I think that resupplying when your opponent doesn't resupply can also be really crazy because it does put you in those situations where you can just Han Solo straight up kill their leader. The problem is, I don't even think that wins the game all the time, because if they're just crazy ahead of you in space after you resupply, you could just die. So yeah, this matchup is just crazy and all over the place. Just play your heart out and play some Star Wars and you'll win the game. And then finally, we played Sabine in the finals. This man has been playing Sabine since set 1. Very good Sabine player. I, again, just think we have a good matchup. I was able to open Hauler in both my games, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Yeah, don't be scared of them taking Hauler, guys, because by the time they take Hauler in that matchup, they've already lost so much of their life. Actually, in game 2, there was a couple cards that I could lose to in a top deck situation, but I was just winning the race so hard. For Sabine to win, they need to Rebel Assault you 3 times, every single turn, just so they can be so action efficient, because you having the initiative is just so strong. So if they can just Rebel Assault and then always have the initiative, they're able to Sabine ping a little bit more, and just, again, action economy is important in that matchup. So they need to draw Rebel Assaults like it's nobody's business. Well, bam. All right, that was it. We won. We're the winner. Go back to here. It's the judge next to me. And it was a really fun tournament. So, 7 rounds and then top 8. We did go undefeated. We did take those draws. There was really no point in playing them, to be honest. I was guaranteed top 8. And I told myself I wasn't going to draw, but I kind of felt bad for the other players, especially the last round, because he wasn't guaranteed unless I drew. So he might not have made it, and it just feels bad sometimes to take that away. I'll have to consider this draw thing in the future. Again, being 5-0, I was guaranteed top 8 at this point. But yeah, I just drew. But we played the matches anyway. Again, the Sabine player, I'm really favored into, I would have totally been fine playing against them. So yeah, I don't know. Just a weird mechanic. Not really a fan of it, but something I did partake in. And yeah, this is my list. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. What's on the queue? I really want to make and convert a strong win-defeated Thrawn deck. Thrawn from Jump to Lightspeed. I think he's maybe the new hot thing. I think, there's a lot of ways to build his deck. And I'm just excited for a leader that has so much value. It's kind of the opposite of Han, where he has so much tempo. and then Thrawn's so much value. So I want to make a Thrawn list and make some deck list videos on there. I also want to go back to Palpatine and make another aggro Palpatine deck. I think there's a lot of new tools and maybe a new color that you can play with now that that Palpatine can play green, because the green pilots are kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. So that's what I'm gonna look forward to in the future. You guys will definitely see me at Worlds. If you're going, say hi. Especially if you're not from Arizona, you're like, hey, I'm watching videos. I'll be like, hey, how's it going? So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, where is this? My green fingers. Peace.